Hello there, everybody. This is Mel Allen. June is at hand, and baseball is getting doubly good. Double feature. First, a look at a fine art for the second finger, then a look at an artful player whose fine finish was second to none. Double trouble. A pair of Cincinnati pitchers helped propel the Reds, while a pair of New York hitters helped power the Yankees. Double play. Two young stars are having banner years. One at the plate, one on the mound. Both are league leaders. Double up and double down. Major leaguers can be twice as bad or twice as good, depending on the situation. So stay tuned for twice as much fun, y'all, right here on This Week in Baseball. Celebrating our 10th anniversary. American League report. In New York, the Yankees hit the power switch. Yankee manager Lou Piniella sure made the right move when he called up Dan Pasqua from the minors. In his first start, Pasqua hammered a home run and drove in 4 against Oakland. Next day, he blasted 2 homers.
I just told myself on the mental part of the game, I just told myself I have to start producing down there in order to, get the opportunity back up here. So, and I just took it one game at a time down there, and, I started hitting the ball down there, and I got the opportunity to come back.
When California came calling, the Yankees kept cranking. In Game 1, Mike Pagliarulo put on a power show with a pair of homers to match Pasqua's performance of the day before. But in Game 2, the focus turned to Yankee fielding, or the lack of it, as New York committed 6 errors. The most costly miscue was made in the top of the 9th by Pagliarulo because it allowed the Angels to score the tying run. But Pags promptly atoned for his error in the bottom of the 9th.
Ground ball into right field. The Yankees win it 7-6. So Mike Pagliarulo, who was the GOAT 1 minute, winds up the hero.
Next day, Pags had 4 RBIs and New York won again. But rookie sensation Wally Joyner prevented a sweep in Game 4 by cracking his league-leading 16th home run. A 2-out, 2-run job in the top of the 9th that gave the Angels an 8-7 win. Now, let's zero in on a Boston fireballer. Roger, over and out. 23-year-old Roger Clemens is still on a roll, raising his record to a spotless 8-0 with a win over Texas, a game in which Clemens carried a no-hitter through 7 innings, and then, with 2 out in the 8th, Oddibe McDowell came to bat.
There it goes, a liner to center. Here comes Lyons, can't make it, it's a trap. And there goes a no-hitter.
The final 9, a complete Game 2 hitter for Clemens, keeping the red-hot Red Sox atop the East and continuing a storybook season for a man whose career was in jeopardy after shoulder surgery last July.
I'm glad to not be pitching in pain anymore, and right now all that's behind me. I had no control over an injury, and I had to make a big decision of giving up the ball last year, and I didn't want to. I'm hard-headed sometimes, and I consider myself lucky because some of the other pitchers had more serious of an injury than I did and put a lot of hard work into coming back, and it's all turned out for the best.
Clemens was at his flame-throwing best back on April 30th against Seattle when he set a new Major League strikeout record for a 9-inning game.
A new record! Clemens has set a Major League record for strikeouts in a game. 20.
Whatever achievements might lie ahead for Clemens, there's no doubt that this one was extra special.
It really was a special night, and it was just hard to believe that it happened. The game was such a hard-fought game, and it was a lot of pressure-packed innings, and watching my teammates over in the dugout, how they were going crazy, and my family was going crazy at home, and it was one of those things that I had an extremely hard fastball that night, and I was throwing it where I wanted it. Richie was moving in and out, and I was hitting his mid. I just wasn't rearing back and throwing. I was doing a lot of good pitching, and I'm trying to keep it behind me and not let it get out of perspective.
It was one of the most exciting games, I'd say, in the top 10 that I've had in my career. I was DHing that night, so I was on the front top rail, the dugout in the 9th inning, you know, screaming and yelling and clapping and doing all kinds of crazy fun things, you know, which doesn't happen very often when you're 36 and you've played a couple thousand games in the major leagues.
I don't want to compare him to nobody because he's in a class of his own right now because, hey, this man owns 20 punch-outs in a ball game.
It was an overpowering night of pitching. When you strike out 20 men out of 30 and don't allow a walk, you're doing something right and you're doing it consistently.
Clemens spells consistent with a capital K. Now let's open the notebook for This Week in Baseball's TWIB notes from around the American League. 33-year-old George Brett of Kansas City reached a milestone in the win over Chicago. Base hit number 2,000 of a 12-year career in which he's compiled a .316 lifetime batting average. 22-year-old pitcher Scott Bankhead made his major league debut in the game, which the Royals won 2-1 in 17 innings. Bankhead got the victory by tossing the final 4 innings and striking out 5 while allowing just 2 hits. The Minnesota Twins are struggling, but not for lack of power. With 76 homers in their first 46 games, the Twins had almost 20 more homers than any other team in the majors, and they're on pace to challenge the all-time mark. Led by Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle, the M&M boys, the 61 Yankees hold the record of 240 homers in one season. Now it's time for this week's quiz, brought to you by Nissan, builders of high-quality cars and trucks for over 50 years. Municipal Stadium in Cleveland was the site of the biggest crowd in the majors this season. More than 61,000 fans turned out to see the Indians defeat Toronto 3-1. But for this week's quiz, can you name the Major League game that drew the largest crowd in history? Stay tuned for an honoring exhibition. National League Review. In Pittsburgh, the Reds get back in the pink. You got to be lucky as well as good to win ball games, and Cincinnati combined good luck with good play to win 5 out of 6 overall, including a 3-game sweep of the Pirates. Bill Gullickson began the season by going 0-3, but in Pittsburgh he won his 4th in a row, thereby giving credence to his manager's theory about baseball's law of averages.
Baseball has a way of getting back to the averages of a guy. If a guy has won 15, 16 games a year, unless he's injured, he's got a good chance to win 15, 16 games this year. If a guy's hit 280 his whole career and he's hitting 150, he's not going to hit 150. Buddy Bell's not going to hit 160. Nick Asasi's not going to hit 180. Davey Concepcion's not a 170 hitter. Everything has a way of straightening out, and that's why it's great to have a 162-game schedule, because you don't rate someone on 15 games or 17 games. You don't rate them on 100 games, you rate them on 162 games, and I've never gotten used to losing. I don't think I ever could.
And the Reds were within arm's length of the rest of the West. Time now to turn the spotlight on San Diego's Tony Award winner. Tony Gwynn won a batting crown by hitting .351 in 1984 when the Padres went to the World Series. Last year, his numbers fell off, but this season he's back on top with a league-leading .355 average.
Yeah, I really wasn't consistent last year, but yet I wound up hitting .317. So a lot of people say, you know, the numbers are good, but, you know, my RBIs were down, my stolen bases were down, walks, struck out more last year. When I'm consistent, I'm usually hitting the ball hard 2 times a game, spraying the ball around, not really hitting it to one place, and just being a really consistent player. That's what I strive to be. I try to be the most consistent player I can be, but, you know, in this game, with guys improving year in and year out, it becomes kind of tough.
Gwynn helps form one of the better offensive outfields in the league, along with heavy hitters Kevin McReynolds and Carmelo Martinez.
Carmelo and Kevin are power guys, and I'm the Punch and Judy of the 3. You know, I spray the ball around. I don't hit many home runs, but they hit the ball out of the ballpark. So, you know, I take my razzing. You know, I'm a number 2 hitter, and an outfielder, a right fielder, supposed to be a guy who hits 20 home runs and drives in 100, but, you know, I'm nowhere close to those numbers year in and year out. So, you know, I know what kind of player I am, and I don't try to change from that. I try to be, you know, do what I've done to get here, and so far the results have been pretty good. But, you know, when you're getting in the clubhouse with these guys and they start talking about when you're going to hit a home run, you're like, oh, for the last 100 games, when you're going to hit one. You know, it becomes kind of tough.
Gwynn recently put an end to the razzing in dramatic fashion against the Mets' Jesse Orosco, who had not given up an extra base hit to a lefty batter since 1983.
For some reason, I just thought that in that situation, he tried to sneak a fastball by me to try to get ahead of me. And I looked for a fastball inside, and I got it, and I hit it, but it broke my bat. I didn't really hit it that well, but it carried out of the ballpark. So, you know, I'm just happy that we won the game. I'm not a home run hitter, but in this case, I'll take it because, you know, it won us a ball game.
Win with Gwynn, this year's Padre campaign slogan. Now, let's review this week in baseball's twib notes from around the National League. San Francisco's Mike LaCosse is one key to the Giants' success so far. He gave up just 4 hits in 8 innings and got the win against Montreal to go 5-1. But LaCosse was even better at the plate, going 4 for 4 with 2 runs scored and 3 RBIs, including the game winner to keep the Giants hot on Houston's trail. For St. Louis pitcher Ray Burris, it was deja vu. He hit a second-inning 3-run double down the line for the game winner against Atlanta to go 2-0. How did Burris win his first game? With a second-inning 3-run double down the line. Now, let's line up the answer to this week's Nissan quiz. 93,103 fans packed the Los Angeles Coliseum on May 7th, 1959 for Roy Campanella Night. The largest crowd in Major League history turned out to see the Dodgers play the Yankees, an exhibition game honoring Brooklyn's Hall of Fame catcher who'd been tragically crippled in a car accident. No, man, the lights were on in Cleveland, a game against Boston. Didn't matter, though. A heavy fog made for an eerie game on an eerie night on the shores of Lake Erie. The game was stopped in the 6th so that some test fly balls could be hit to the outfield.
They're gonna have Bonds hit a pop-up and see if they can catch it.
There's a lone figure standing out in right field, and only he knows who he is. There goes one. Now, let's see where that is. I have no idea where it is. Into the seats.
After Indians batting coach Bobby Bonds hit his fungos into the fog, the umpires decided to play ball as Cleveland fans showed signs of feeling a bit under the weather. Play was resumed, but not for long, and when the game was finally called off, the Red Sox had a 2-0 victory. But the real winner on this foggy night was Mother Nature, who brought out the bizarre in just about everybody. Hey, did I hear somebody say, play Misty for me?
We've run into all kinds of weather so far this year, and this is the first time we've run into a fog. Looks like a set from the Hound of the Baskervilles should be coming out soon.
Even old Sherlock couldn't find a clue. Time now for a wild ride at the park, brought to you by Big League Ball Handlers Extraordinaire. First up, San Francisco's Chris Brown. Boston's Wade Boggs. Texas pitcher Mitch Williams. St. Louis Cardinals' Ozzie Smith. Houston's Craig Reynolds. Another Reynolds, Harold of Seattle. John Cangelosi, Chicago White Sox. Ricky Peters, Oakland A's. Kansas City's Willie Wilson, and he gets 2. Ranger Encore by Toby Harrah. The White Sox again with Bobby Bonilla. New York Yankee Dan Pasqua. And finally, Philadelphia's Jeff Stone. Now, let's get on the ball with an inside look at the Major League ringleaders. Not long after the Kansas City Royals began celebrating their World Championship last October, a company began working on the Players' World Series rings, a company whose employees have good reason to take special pride in their work. The LG Balfour Company of Attleboro, Massachusetts.
It's amazing to see the twinkle in these people's eyes. It's saying that, hey, I made Reggie Jackson's ring. I held Reggie Jackson's ring. I set the diamonds in Carl Yastrzemski's ring. And they bring that home to their children, their wives, and my God, there's probably 300 or 400 people that handle a ring, and every one of those people actually believe that they took a part, and they did take a part in making that ring. It's a tremendous morale booster.
Making these rings usually costs several $1,000s a piece, and it's a precise and intricate process that involves 23 steps that can take up to a month to complete.
You create a wax mold by infusing wax into this mold. Out comes the exact ring, but made in wax. And every one of those rings are put onto this wax tree. That wax tree is put into a, let's call it a can. Plaster of Paris is filled up to the top of that can and covers the wax. Gold is poured into the top of that can and melts the wax. When the wax is melted, the gold hardens, the wax disappears, out comes a gold ring. The plaster is sprayed away or washed away, and what we have is a series of 10 or 15 10-carat or 14-carat gold rings ready to be manufactured.
Every World Series winner since 1932 has received a ring, and Balfour has made them for 10 of the last 11. A ring means more than anything else to a man who earns one, because long after the money and glory are gone, this precious piece of jewelry still remains.
They can take everything else, but just give us that ring, because they can't take that away from us. You know, they might spend $90,000 of their winnings. They might buy, you know, a couple of Porsches, but they've always got that ring, and when they go out, they can show it off proudly, that they've earned it.
Remember specifically Pete Rose, around 1975. I think the share of the World Series was about $11,000 or $12,000. And I remember him saying, I would give that money away in order to wear a championship ring. In other words, he'd pay $11,000 himself just for the right to wear a championship ring.
The real rewards in this game is not how much money you make or what kind of records you have, is to play in a World Series and win one. And I've been able to play in 6 of them and win 3 of them. And my 3 proud possessions are my World Series rings.
Probably the most important thing in my life is this thing right here. Everybody on the field, coaches, managers, ball players, and even lowly umpires, get a World Series ring. And I just walk down the street today and people walk up and say, didn't you used to be Ron Luciano? I say, yeah, look, I was in a World Series.
These athletes want to be recognized off the field as well as on the field. And of course, everybody can recognize the athlete with his uniform on the field. But boy, they're so happy that they have that.
As time goes on, it'll have more and more meaning, simply because the memories will be there.
Well, thanks to some of the great Dodger teams that I've played with and some of the great players that are in the Hall of Fame right now, we had a chance to pick up some World Championship rings, some National League pennant rings, and of course, the one that I'm most proud of right now is the one that the Balfour Company made for me. That's the Hall of Fame ring, and that's the one that I wear all the time. So my special thanks to them. I'm awfully proud of it.
Pride is something that's put into practice every day by the Major League ringleaders at the LG Balfour Company. Now, it's This Week in Baseball's 10th anniversary flashback, brought to you by Gatorade. Let's flash back to 1980. Candlestick Park in San Francisco was the site. The man, the great Willie McCovey. The moment, McCovey's last big league at bat. It came against the arch-rival Dodgers. A man on first, the score tied. It's the last of the night.
He's out there on deck, and now starts the trek up to the plate. Listen to the roar for Willie McCovey. Now he's being announced. And another roar in response to the announcement. Left-hand batter Willie McCovey facing right-hand pitcher Bobby Castillo. McCovey, the man who has hit 521 home runs in his fabulous career. Castillo's pitch. Swung on and hit in the alley in right center field. A base hit going all the way to the wall. Then he's sent it around third. He's coming home. There is the relay to Lopes, no throw, and the ball game is over. The congratulations are all for McCovey. The Giants are mobbing Willie Mack. And this crowd is on its feet as one. salute to Willie McCovey.
During that last week of the season, I was only pinch hitting. And every time I would make an appearance, people didn't know whether that might be my last, because as a pinch hitter, you never knew when you might come up again. So it just so happened I came off the bench that day in the bottom of the 9th inning, and I hit the double and drove in the winning run against the Dodgers. So that was probably one of my biggest hits in baseball.
Well, it so thrilled the fans that they refused to leave until McCovey came out for a curtain call.
As a matter of fact, I had already jumped in the shower. And they were still out there chanting, "We want Willie, we want Willie." So Dave Brister came in there and said, "Willie, you got to get back out there." So I put back on my uniform and went back out and took a final bow.
McCovey's next bow will be this summer for his enshrinement in the Hall of Fame. And that's all for now, folks. But see you next week on This Week in Baseball.
The Tribe gets another chance when they face the Boston Red Sox in Beantown, Monday at 7:30 on WUAB. Be watching. Now stay tuned for the Herb Score Sports Show, right here on Channel 43.